What's going on, guys? I'm that streamer dude, and today we're going to talk about a little software that's been out for a while, but I'm just now getting the chance to get my hands on it and play with it. Nvidia Broadcast.
Gonna catch me riding dirty.
I want to welcome you to the channel. If you've never been here before, this channel is about everything content creation, whether it's streaming, making videos, product reviews, that kind of stuff. So if you think that's something that might interest you, go ahead and subscribe. I'd appreciate it. Hit the thumbs up because it helps the video a ton. This is a brand new channel. I'm just kind of getting going with it, but I'm really excited to share the information that I've learned over my streaming career and content creation career so that I can share with you guys. And if you guys have questions or whatever, there's also a link for the Discord in the description below, or you can hit me up on Twitter and just let me know what you guys would be interested in seeing. But recently I was lucky enough to get my hands on a 3090 graphics card, which I've been wanting since like last November. I upgraded from a 1080 Ti, and one of the big reasons that I wanted this newer graphics card was not only for the processing power that it has. So when you're streaming, if you're streaming, especially from a one PC setup, which I have to do with things like VR, it has its own little processor in the graphics card dedicated to streaming. So it doesn't increase your GPU usage when you're streaming, but also for this really cool feature, Nvidia Broadcast. And so what Nvidia Broadcast does is, number one, it has a really cool background removal function for your like microphones and stuff. So like if somebody's making a lot of noise or you've got a lot of extra noise in your room, completely cuts that out. It can even work for people in chat, so remove their background. If you're chatting with somebody that's got, you know, noisy kids or dogs that are barking or whatever, it'll remove the background noise from them as well, which is really cool. It also has some really cool like inbuilt features for your camera and stuff that I'll show you here in just a minute, that I think opens a lot of doors for creativity for a lot of different streamers and content creators. So as you can see, I have the software pulled up right here, Nvidia Broadcast. I'll put the link in the description below if you want to go get it. If you want to be able to use all the features of Nvidia Broadcast, you're going to have an RTX 20 series or RTX 30 series Nvidia graphics card. It's not going to work with AMD, and it's not going to work with your older like 10 series or older Nvidia graphics cards, but there are some features that will work with the older graphics card, and we'll talk about that. We'll go ahead and start there. And what we'll cover is the noise removal feature for your microphone. And so when you download Nvidia Broadcast, you're gonna have these different options at the top: microphone, speakers, camera. So we'll start at microphone. First and foremost, when I went into Nvidia Broadcast, it changed my sound settings. So you're gonna wanna make sure to go into your hardware and sound in your control panel, go into your sound settings, and make sure that you have your default playback and recording devices set, because it's gonna try and change them to Nvidia Broadcast. You may even get an error in Nvidia Broadcast that says don't choose an Nvidia Broadcast mic as your mic, because in here in the settings for the microphone, you're going to want to make sure that you have the correct microphone that you're using selected in Nvidia Broadcast. I hope that made sense the way I put it. What this does is it tries its best to isolate all of the background noise out of your microphone. And so you may say like, oh cool, you know, I mean, I don't need that, I've got a noise gate, which I do have a noise gate on this microphone. But you're going to see in a second exactly what I'm talking about. There could be dogs barking, there could be clanking noises, there could be all kinds of stuff going on, and it will completely remove that from your microphone. And I think that's really cool, because I've always said, like, for me at least, and I feel like a lot of people may feel this way as well, audio is like the most important aspect of content creation. I feel like a lot of people, especially with streams, there's a lot of people that will put streams on and then they're doing other things and they're just listening to you in the background, or they're listening to you while they're doing chores or whatever. And so I feel like audio, especially from streaming, is one of the most important things about your stream, point blank period. And so if you have a lot of like background noise and stuff, it's something that can really drive people away from your channel. And so this really helps to resolve that, and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about right now. So when you get into Nvidia Broadcast, go to the microphone tab, make sure you have your correct microphone source, and you'll see you have noise removal, room echo removal, which I haven't even messed with, and then remove this effect. What we're gonna do is we're gonna mess with the noise removal feature right now. So what can I even make noise with? Okay, for instance, listen to me now. I am talking, wait. Let's use my Hopsulator Trio, which is like I'm not sponsored or anything. I forget which camera I'm looking at. I'm not sponsored or anything. It's just a cool thing. It's almost like a Yeti for like canned drinks. You put it in there, it keeps it cool. Anyways, in my denim kazoo, because these are two very vital aspects to content creation. Okay, you can probably hear this, right? You hear the clanking, you hear me talking. It's kind of annoying, but I'm going to go ahead and start doing that again, and we'll do it with the noise removal filter on, and you'll see the difference that that it makes. So I'm gonna go ahead and click this, and then I'll start making the noise, and you can probably hear when it clicks over. Hopefully it'll get rid of that clanking noise, and you'll see that it really preserves my voice pretty well. So you can hear what I'm saying without hearing the clanking of the denim kazoo on the oscillator trio. And let me go ahead and get quiet and see if it cuts that out too. I think it probably completely cuts it out, which is really, really cool. But I guess, I don't know, maybe things that mimic the human voice too, because I feel like this might pick up my denim kazoo. I'm not by no means a kazoo expert. I just wanted to see if that works, and I won't know until afterwards. So I'm holding a vacuum so you can see what it sounds like if you stream with a vacuum in your hand. Let's give it a click. And now I'm holding a vacuum in case you want to stream with a vacuum in your hand, or whatever it was I said previously to test out whether or not you can hear a vacuum while using this. I'm making popping noises with a bottle in case you ever make popping noises with a bottle while you're streaming or recording. Now I'm going to click the button, and you can see that if you do decide to make popping noises with your bottle while you're streaming or recording, hopefully it doesn't sound that terrible and it cuts it out. I'll have no idea until I edit this video. If your whole stream is built around playing with plastic bags, you're probably going to not want to use the Nvidia Broadcast app, because as you can see, now that I click this button here, it's probably going to cut out all of the ASMR-esque noises that come from playing with a bag. If you happen to be a cat, this may very well depress you. Okay, I realize you wouldn't want to cut out a guitar, because if you probably want people to hear that. But I thought of this as like a way to check out the remove echo filter, maybe. So I feel like if you put a little bit of distance right here between you and the mic, right? Hopefully this even picks it up. But so I'm kind of curious, like, there should be a little room echo right here. So I'm curious when we do this with and without the removal filter on here, how it will sound. My mama told me when I was young, said sit beside me, my only son, and listen closely to what I say. Okay, and then let's turn it on. My mama told me when I was young, said sit beside me, my only son, and listen closely to what I say. I don't know. What do you think? Can you hear a difference? Okay. I feel like I made my point and I don't need to demonstrate that anymore for the sake of keeping this video shorter. But I want you to notice too that if you leave Nvidia Broadcast on and you have this noise removal filter on, I want you to notice that it doesn't really distort my voice one way or the other whenever there's not background noise. So it's not cutting out a lot of the quality or anything like that. I've actually, from what I've played with it, what little bit I've played with it, I've really been impressed with how well it kept the quality while cutting out the background noise. So I'm interested to see how those tests come out. But also, let me go ahead and turn it off right now so that you can see. Hopefully there was not like a big loss in quality from my voice whenever we have that noise removal filter on and off. It's also important to mention that in OBS, you can have different scenes that have the noise removal filter on and ones that have the noise removal filter off, as well as whenever we get into this video stuff that we're about to, that adds filters to the cameras, you can have scenes with them on and off. So if you don't want it at times or you do want it at times, instead of having to open up the app and turn it on and off or whatever, you can just have different scenes that have different audio sources or different video sources selected so that, you know, you can have it whenever you want at a push of a button. And as I was saying earlier, you can go to the speakers tab and select the device that you have your chat coming in on. Like for me, I have a Go XLR. The chat comes in on the chat output, right? You can enable noise removal for that as well. So if somebody is talking and they have background noise and there's just nothing they can do about it, maybe they have a lesser quality mic or just whatever, loud noises in the background, you can turn that on and it cuts out there. It works the exact same way and cuts out their noise as well. But enough of the microphone stuff. That is cool. It's actually really cool. Again, I think audio is probably a little bit more important than video quality. But They have some really cool filters for the camera as well that I want to play with here right quick. So we'll go over to the camera tab. We have our camera input selected, the appropriate one. We've got the appropriate resolution selected. And now we get to look at some of these effects that they have built into Nvidia Broadcast. Again, you can use the voice removal aspect of Nvidia Broadcast if you have the old GTX series, so like the 1070s and up or something. I actually think it's the 1060s and up. I'll try and put a link in the description below as well for that if you have the older graphics cards. I hate to call them older, man. Like, things progress so fast, right? Like, the 10 series isn't even that old. It's just older than the new series, right? But I'll put the link in the description below. You'll have to download just the voice aspect of that. So I'll try to leave that link in the description below for you. But here we've got some cool effects that we can play with the camera that I'm really excited for. I don't know how well it's gonna work with the kind of darker. I have the light set on purple, so it may not work that well, and we'll have to change the light color a little bit, because I feel like the more contrast you get between yourself and the background, the better this is gonna work. But I think it's really cool, and there are some streams that use this really well. That, you know, if there's instances that you wanted to switch to something like a green screen, but you don't have a green screen accessible where you can put it up or put it down, or if there's certain games that you feel like might work better with a green screen or whatever, and you don't have one, this is a viable option for you, I think. Now you can see it's a little bit wonky, but it does the job in my opinion. So let me go ahead and turn on the background removal. Okay, I forgot I had this image here. So you can see right now it's being kind of wonky. And the reason for that, I think, is because it's so dim in here. So you're still gonna want some decent lighting. You see that? Like, really, when there is good lighting, like in front of my lights or whatever, that's really not bad for just software removing you from your background, right? So let me go ahead, hey, set the stream lights to white. There we go. All right, so you guys can see what kind of background light I have now. I feel like if I turn this on, it's probably gonna be a little bit better. So it's still a little bit wonky, but all in all, it's not terrible for software that's removing you. So I feel like where this will be most useful is in situations where you're not moving a whole lot, and it's just trying to read your edges and keep your edges defined. Even though, like, it does really well for the hands, you can see that, like, around, say, your head or the trunk of your body, it does kind of like try and sometimes when you're moving, pick up some background images. And what you'll notice on some of these other effects, as I change to them, you'll see that it's really because there are some objects that are black in my background. And as you kind of move your black hat towards that black object, it kind of has a hard time differentiating, you know, what may be needing to be cut out and what might not. So the more contrast you have between you and your background, the better. So let me get into a position real quick here where I'm just kind of sitting still. Standing desk is the greatest thing ever invented when you're doing long streams or whatever. Oh my goodness. All right, so as you can see right here, this is kind of what I'm talking about. My black hat moving to the black part of the guitar, it doesn't really like it. If I move and say let's move over here so that there's a little more contrast between me and my background, you can see there's some funny stuff going on here still with my beard. Again, this is, you know, software doing it. But if you were sitting still and you were gaming just like this, it definitely wouldn't be out of the acceptable range for a green screen stream, especially if your thing is normally, you know, streaming in a cam box, but you just thought this would be great for this scene or great for this game or whatever. It's a really, really cool way to add that. And so we have the background removal, which I think is really cool, but it's not the only reason that you would want to use these effects in Nvidia Broadcast. We also have some other options like background blur. So you can see here now, again, as I move closer to the black on the guitar with my black hat, it does kind of get a little wonky. Keep in mind, you're probably not going to be like on a full screen. You would be down into like a little cam box or whatever. The resolution would be much lower, and you wouldn't be able to pick up on those kind of things quite as well. But you can see that it still gets a little wonky right there, but I think it's a really cool effect. Let me show you, like, if we decrease the strength here, it really is a cool way to make you stand out, like whether you're in a cam box or whatever it is you're doing against your background. I think it's a really cool effect, and it does a really good job of background removal, and it's not quite as noticeable whenever you get some of the wonky stuff other than that right there. It's not quite as noticeable as it is whenever you're doing background removal. So we have the background blur there. We messed a little bit with the background removal, which would really look a whole lot better if I didn't have that guitar there like that. Let's look at background replacement. So here you can choose your background file here. So you can go into your files and choose whatever image you want. This is just the default one that they give you. But again, for scenarios where maybe you don't have the best backdrop, maybe you stream in your kitchen, maybe you share a room with your brother or sister or whatever, It's kind of cool that you can put on this background replacement and have it look like any room you want without having to have a green screen or even a wall right behind you, right? So you can make your stream just a little more visually appealing without having to really narrow down the place where you can have your stream set up. And same kind of thing here. If I was to kind of move and block that black guitar from behind me, it wouldn't be quite so wonky around my head, and you could really see that I don't have to have a green screen or a wall right behind me to make this really look pretty good. Auto frame, I'm not really, oh yeah, okay, so I haven't messed with auto frame yet, but now I'm remembering what this is. Auto frame is a way to have the camera follow you without actually having the camera follow you. So if you had yourself in a cam box and you were kind of like just trying to capture, say, from your shoulders up, you can move this zoom bar and zoom in your camera a little bit. Say this is how I had my cam box. Nobody wants to look at that, but that's what it is, okay? And now I move like this. It's a cool feature without having to have a literal moving camera to be able to keep you in frame. So for things like VR, maybe, if you're way back, maybe a little bit farther from your computer, and you're moving around, it'll be a really cool way to keep you in frame. So that is one thing that I plan on using this for. When I'm streaming VR, I tend to be all around the room, and a lot of times I do walk out of frame. It might be like half my body. It'll be really cool to be able to move like this and have it auto frame you. Really, really cool feature here in Nvidia Broadcast. And last thing here, let me turn this off first. One of the reasons that I'm using this camera is it doesn't have the best lens on it, and it doesn't take in the most amount of light. And so sometimes when that's the scenario, you can kind of see like around here, there's some graininess on my camera. And especially probably if you have me on like your TV or whatever, you'll see some of the graininess against the wall. You might see some graininess on the hat. And that can happen on lower level cameras to an even more extent. So I'm using a DSLR with just not the most expensive lens on this one. But if you had like a C922 or a USB webcam, this would be something that can really help to clean up your image. So if I turn on this video noise removal, you'll see that it smooths out that little pixelization, that blur, that noise in the background quite a bit. So you don't see all that static on my hat or all that static in the background. You have two different versions. You have strong and you have weak. You can make it however smooth as you want it. Let me go ahead and one more time and turn this off so you can kind of see how it gets rid of some of those textures. It gets rid of some of that noise and really smooths things out. I think that's a cool thing. Maybe you don't want the background blur, but you just want to get rid of some of that noise, or you just have a lot of noise on you in general, some from your webcam or whatever. It's really cool to be able to cut down some of that pixelization, that static, and just get a cleaner image. But to take it another step further, when you click this add effect button right here, you can actually have two things going at once. So say we wanted to blur our background, but we also want to get rid of some of this noise that's here on my hat. So we could go into this, we could say background blur, turn that on, blur our background. We've still got some of that noise you can see, especially on my hat right there. So we can come into here and go to video noise removal and turn that on as well. So it smooths out all that noise, and it got a blurred background. It's such a cool, I think it's such a cool thing to have built into your graphics card, just a software that you can do all this stuff with, because in the past it's been really difficult. Everything, you know, has to come from changes on your camera or whatever. So to be able to do this software wise and even get somewhat of a green screen effect without having to have an actual green screen, these are steps towards just like huge improvements in technology for streaming. And in the future, in the near future, I think some of the weird stuff that it has around me for background removal and stuff will be fixed, and it's just going to be like a whole different ball game. It's going to be so much easier to get a really clean, good looking stream, just the same way that it's come as far as it has since, say, 5 years ago. We could also take off the video noise removal and go ahead and have auto frame, so we could blur our background and have auto frame at the same time. I'm really curious to hear what you guys think about Nvidia Broadcast. I know it's something that's been out for a little while. They've added some new features like here and there. But if you didn't know about it, what do you think about Nvidia Broadcast? Is it something that you think you will implement into your streams? I think there's some creative ways that you could do so. And I think there's some creative ways that I will try and do so on my streams. Speaking of my streams, the link is in the description below, twitch.tv/Cobras. I would love to see you guys around there. I stream every Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 9 p.m. to like 2 a.m. Central Standard Time, usually quite a bit later on Fridays. So drop me a follow, come by, say hi. Whatever you want to do, let me know what you think about this. If you have questions, swing by. I also have, again, a link in the description for the Discord, my Twitter. Swing by and ask me questions. I just love to hear from you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I look forward to doing more very, very soon. And until next time, see you later, dudes.